Okay, this is going to be the last video that we're doing in this chapter. It's going to focus around exercise 32.5. The goal of this one is basically to display the contents of a table. So it says, write a program that displays the content for a given table as shown below. You enter a table and click the Show Contents button to display the table contents in the text area. So pretty simple, really. Now, when they're saying what table, we're going to be going out to the database and pulling in a table. So there's going to be basically a connection here between our database and what's coming back. Now, what you might want to do is in your browser, connect up to phpMyAdmin on Kronos. This is the URL. So kronosgtc.edu/phpMyAdmin and log into your account. Now the reason I'm having you do this is you're going to load up a table, right? It's kind of handy to see what's in the table, to see if it's loading right, if you're missing anything, if it's getting all of it, if it's missing a column, you know, that type of thing. So I'm going to find my Java book database here. And I know that from the screenshot, enrollment was one of those, and you can see some of the records that are present inside of it. All right, so let's get back over to the book just very briefly and just look at the visual interface. Looks like we have a label, a text field, a button, and kind of like an area here, right, that we could put text into. All right, let's get over to Eclipse, and I'm going to start building out the application. This is going to be in abbreviated fashion because we don't have a lot of time here in class. So rather than doing all the nitty-gritty detailed walkthrough, I'm going to kind of do it in a little bit more of a hurry-up fashion where I'm copying and pasting from a completed solution with a little bit of explanation. So exercise 32.5, adding a main method. All right, I'm going to borrow some code. Well, let's do it like this. I will write the extends application first. We'll add that library. We are also going to need a stage and a scene and all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to copy this. But that's not going to go there. That's going to come here. Now, this is clearly going to have to change. So I'm just going to put some question marks in there now and let it flag red. That's fine. Anything else that we should pull over? Yeah, well, we can put the launch args in there too. Yes, we will do that. Let's take that one step at a time, though. I guess my initial concern is to make sure that we get the visual elements in place. So we already decided that we're going to have text field, a label, a button. Does anybody know what they call the big wide open text area? Text area. That's a trick question. What do they call that big text area? Text area. All right. All right. So we're going to need all those things. So watch what I'm going to do here. This is going to be a quick copy paste. All of these need libraries. I don't expect you to really quickly copy it. You know what? That's a really good point. That's exactly where I intend to put it. Chris, I think Chris reads my mind. Either that or he's already done the work. And now you're being immortalized in the videos on top of it all. But you're right. We should actually put these outside the state or the start method for the same reason we did it in one of the previous applications. So it's all completely available. All right. Another thing that we'll want to add here is something we did earlier, one of the earlier applications too, is we're actually going to create a variable that's going to hold the statement for, basically for queries. It's empty right now, but we are going to be doing that. All right. All right, we still need some more visual elements. I look at this output here, and I can very easily say that the label, the text field, and the button could go in an H box. Are we agreed? All right, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. It's not always such an easy choice, but in this case it is. All right, so I'm going to put that inside the start method. And here's the code for that. So I'm creating an H box. Add the library. We're going to do a get children add all. That's going to pull in all the controls that we created up above. Then we're going to position it center. That does require a library. Now, in order to basically display the stuff on the screen, I am going to use a border pane that's going to hold everything. So the way I'm going to do this is, once again, this is in highly abbreviated fashion, so we don't run out of time, is I'm going to put together a border pane. We're going to call it pane. Let's add the library right away. All right, and since we know that's called pane, that means, let's see if I can even double click this. Oh, these are all special characters, so it won't do it. All right, so that's going to be pane. In terms of the size, that'll probably work actually. I mean, it looks about like the same size and shape as the one we were doing before, so it'll at least be in the ballpark, basically. Oh, and I see I have an extra parenthesis here. And then I'm going to get rid of this extra spacing, just kind of tidy things up. This is exercise 32.5. So that really takes care of our visual elements. Now, very much the same way we did with our very first application here in this chapter. Remember we did an initialized database? Well, I think we could probably copy our initialized database, don't you think? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's find that method, wherever I happen to put it. Why reinvent the wheel? I keep forgetting I'm working in the same environment I'm copying from, so I can do my Alt-Tab and try to go to a different screen, and it's failing miserably. All right, so I'm just going to put that right here. And the way that we did it before in the previous application is we did the initialized database right after we put the stage up. So we're going to do the same thing again. And then after we initialize the database, we also set up the event handler on the button. It's going to be one event handler. So with that, that command's going to look like this. Now this is something that we haven't created yet, obviously. So that's something that we're going to need to do. And this is the most complicated part, frankly. It really is. Everything else, I mean, believe it or not, once we write that method, this application is complete. So let's go ahead and create a method then called showContents. And once again, for the sake of time efficiency, because we have literally 2 minutes of class left, I'm just going to paste it in. Doesn't really show the problem-solving process, but at least it does show the code. I'm going to add the missing libraries. And then very quickly we can talk through it. So what this application is going to do, not application, excuse me, method, is we are going to set up a string that's going to hold the name of the table. Okay, so that is so that when we choose from that box what table it is, this will populate it. So it's going to get the text from the text field called table name. Then we're doing the try catch. We're setting up a query. Query is pretty simple, right? It's about as simple a query as you can get. Select everything from whatever table you're doing, right? Couldn't be much simpler. We're setting up a result set, which is going to take that statement, that's what we, blank one we set up here to receive the query, and then it's going to take that and execute the query based on the query string that we just created. So all of that, the result of it is going to store inside of result set. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this other, create a new object, and notice this, what this says, result set metadata. What is metadata? That's exactly correct. It's data about data, or data about data. Data about data. How about that? Combine the two. All right. So it's given a name, and it's going to pull in, using this method, the metadata. What do you suppose the metadata is for a table? Yeah, it is actually, if you look at the structure of your table, it's all this stuff. It pulls in the information that tells you what it is. So we are going to set up a loop, and that's going to loop through as long as we have columns to go through, and it's basically going to get the column name from the metadata and output it. I mean, it's really what it's doing. The append text command is just going to pull the information in and then keep adding the text. Then we're throwing in a line break. Then we have another loop, and this is a while with a for inside of it. Remember, the next, just like in most other languages, will keep stepping through all the records as long as there's records to step through. And then it's going to go through and it's going to read whatever column we're currently in and populate it and pull it all back and print it out, hopefully. All right. So this is the completed application, believe it or not, folks. I don't think there's another thing we need to add. The only part we need to be careful about are the actual database connection pieces, which are correct. All right, so let's give it a save. Let's give it a run. What table name are we working with? Was it capital E? And show contents. Yeah, and it probably should be a little bigger, whatever. It works. All right, folks, that wraps up this video. That was short and sweet. Probably not all the explanation you'd like, but at least you see how it works and what the code is.